Viewers and subs, welcome back to class. In today's video, we have some PPF that's been stuck on this hood for quite some time, followed by a bad paint job that just got worse over the years. Now, I'm going to show you the simplest step that I took to get this problem solved. The same thing that's going on down here on the hood is the same thing going on up here on the roof. This Forerunner has seen some bad weather and is in bad shape. Let's get started. Okay, so what I'm using here is a 6 amp rotary DeWalt sander. It's very powerful. But what happens is because it's generating so much heat, it starts to melt the plastic like you see here, which makes it hard to sand. I had a soft pad on there, so I took it off and then just put back some 80 grit on there with no interface pad, and it gives me a better sand, but it still leaves that burn around the edges like you see there. So I switched it to a regular DA with 80 grit sandpaper, and I gave it the first sand, and then I was able to go back over it with the rotary sander, and it makes things a lot easier. So just like that, I was able to get this area cleaned up in about 2 minutes. Now I'm gonna do the rest with the entire panel. Now in the meantime, I am aware that there is some different ways that you can fix this, and I'm just gonna read some comments, which is very entertaining. So one guy says soda blast, no metal damage. That could definitely work if you have access to that stuff. One guy says paint strip the entire thing. Paint stripper is only gonna work on the paint. I don't think it will work on the PPF. One guy says 36 grit fiber resin disc on a rotary, best way to strip paint. Keep the rotary moving to avoid getting the panel warped. Not a bad idea. One guy says looks like it's just dry. Just rub some lotion on it. It's funny. Last time I took some off, just use a 3M eraser wheel and a quick polish with some compound after. Was a messy job, but definitely didn't need to sand. All good comments. Thank you guys so much for the support. The channel is now at 10,000 subs. I appreciate every single one of you. Now, do you guys see how easy this job is after I remove the PPF? Look how smooth and effortless it's taken to remove the rest of the paint. There is no clear coat, so it's just paint. It makes the job 10 times easier. Now, up on the roof, we decided to use the paint stripper because this will be a lot easier and we'll be working harder, not smarter, by sanding. There's no clear coat up here, so this paint stripper is just gonna take this thing off like a piece of cake. We sanded the first half around the sunroof because the sunroof does not open and we do not want to damage the sunroof, the moldings or the rubbers around it. This stuff is very dangerous. Use a mask and work fast. Once you apply the paint stripper, cover it with some plastic. That kind of suffocates it and it works a lot faster. So instead of 45 minutes to an hour, this thing came off in about 30 minutes. If you need to apply a little bit more in some of the stubborn areas, you can, or you can just go ahead and scrape it all off. Sometimes a pressure washer works really well. So now we're moving on where the job is starting to get less messy and we're getting ready for the final stages. So everything had to come off. It was so bad you cannot prime over anything that was on these panels. I found a few dings, so I fixed them with some glazed Bondo and we getting it ready for primer. Now, this is bare metal and you need to apply some kind of products on there that's going to stick. and not peel off later. So there's a few steps you will need to take. So if you don't have those kind of primers like the epoxy primers that's good to go directly over metal in such a widespread area, you can just get some of these wipes that's going to form a chemical bond, providing better adhesion and give you corrosion protection. And so that your paint doesn't peel, that's the most important thing too, right? So wipe it in one direction and just give it about 15 minutes to dry, and then you can just go ahead and apply your primer. Now before you use this wipe, make sure you clean the panel really good. So get your wax and grease remover and make sure the surface is clean before you start using the wipes. After a few minutes, the panel is gonna look like the rainbows. That's how you know it's working. After I let that wipes do its job, I mix up some primer. I'm using the Sickens 2K primer, and I applied 3 coats on each panel. Now after the primer dried, the next day we sanded it down with 400 and worked our way up to 800. Got it masked up again. This is all new masking. Don't use the old masking that you use for primer. It's nice and clean and it is ready to go. So stay tuned guys. On the next episode, me and Brian from Paint Society laid down the paint and laid down the gloss. Until next time, class dismissed.